day. How exciting is this? And I know Tricia kind of left you guys with this, but I'd like to start by, really commending you for the work that you do. Definitely being an entrepreneur is not an easy thing. So just my hats off to all of you for the amazing work and commitment and your passion for the work that you do. I think it's just really amazing. I've been trying to be an entrepreneur myself for some time, and I just can't get my head around it. It's just something about me. I'm not a very risk adverse type person, but nevertheless, really excited to be here with you. I'd like to share with you a new program that we are getting ready to launch. As a matter of fact, we announced it a few weeks ago, and we are currently collecting applications for this program. And just before I get started, I just want to make sure you guys are able to see my screen. Are you able to see the slides? Yeah, good.
Yep.
So as Jill said, my name is Cesar Vence. I'm the Deputy Director for the Mayor's Office of International Affairs. At the core of what we do at the Mayor's Office of International Affairs is to position Atlanta globally as a hub for commerce, diplomacy, education, sports, and other activities. We have five pillars: education, protocol and diplomacy, business, sports, and of course, community service. So I oversee our economic diplomacy efforts and our global sports initiative. Under our economic diplomacy efforts, we have two main focus areas: trade promotion and the attraction of foreign direct investment. So under trade promotion, really our goal there is to support Atlanta-based businesses that are interested in exploring the outside of the United States. They're looking to do business outside of the United States. They want to export. So we do this in different ways. We have a program called Passport to Exports, which is a partnership with the Metro Atlanta Chamber, the Georgia Department of Economic Development, and other stakeholders around the state, where on a quarterly basis, we host a conversation like this about a particular topic related to trade. We also have a program with Georgia State University that is called Meet the Exporters, and that is an effort to promote international business careers for students. Prior to COVID-19, we also organized trade missions where we will invite companies to go on sort of these business development missions to other parts of the world. And very recently, as I mentioned, actually earlier this month, we announced a new program in partnership with UPS, which is called the Women Export University, which is what I want to talk to you about today. So the Women Export University, it's an effort to equip entrepreneurs with the tools to become globally competitive. And really at the core of this program is we want to see more women participate in international trade. If you look at the stats, the number of women that actually do business internationally is very small. And keep in mind that 95% of the world consumers are outside of the United States. So what that means is if you're only doing business in the US, you're leaving 95% of potential clients outside of your sort of pipeline. So what we are aiming to do here is to give women the necessary tools and resources to be able to go into other markets, learn how to do business abroad, learn how to do market research, learn how to, just learn about logistics, learn about tariffs and customs. So that's what this Women Export University does. And again, this is a partnership with UPS, the UPS Foundation. One last thing I will say about the program is that this program aligns with our mayor's goals of economic mobility and equality. As you guys know, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms is very committed to equality, both on if you're familiar with the Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative, you know that this is a program, actually is the only really government run and financed program for women in the United States. So the commitment is there, and we want to continue to support the work that you're doing. In terms of the curriculum and what we will be addressing and I don't want to say teaching, but sharing with the participants is 4 capacity building workshops that begin in January of 2021. And we will be addressing, the following topics: terrorism regulations, market research and market entry strategies, logistics and customs, e-commerce, as well as what resources are available to you as a company and as an entrepreneur to export. There are, the alphabet of resources is actually a little bit overwhelming, but that's a good thing for you as an entrepreneur. There are a lot of resources out there to support your efforts. If you are really interested in exporting, if you're interested in doing business abroad, from the federal level to the state level to the local level, there are a lot of entities, partners, stakeholders that are here to support you. Here in Georgia, we take pride in really having a very robust ecosystem of international trade experts who we're kind of nerds in a way. We really like what we do, and we really like sharing our knowledge with our entrepreneurs. And at least from the city, I can't speak from everybody else, but I can almost say with certainty, there is a big commitment in seeing more women participate in this space. Hence the Women Expert University. So in addition to the capacity building workshops, we also have one-on-one consultations for the participants, and we will have what we will call Meet the Exporter, which is an opportunity to meet a fellow entrepreneur who's actually been successful at exporting. Why participate? Why should I do this? Again, I mentioned the stats, and I think probably one of the stats that strikes me the most is the fact that, again, 94% of the world consumers are outside of the United States. So the pie is really big, and we want you to take advantage of that. But as it relates to women specifically, trade has the potential to expand the women's role in the economy, decrease inequality, and expand women's access to skills and education. Also, it can dramatically improve lives. It can create a lot of jobs. Typically, companies that export create more jobs than those that don't. Companies that export also have a much better sort of success rate in terms of navigating crises. So if you think about what's happening today or what's happening during the last 9 months, companies that export have probably been able to ride this wave a little easier than those that just rely on one market. So these are some of the reasons why, you should participate. I mean, if you're interested in exporting and exploring other parts of the world, this is not just for entrepreneurs, companies, businesses that have a physical good. If you provide a service that you can sell to another part of the world, that's also exporting. I know sometimes there's a misconception about, if I'm not putting a physical good in a shipping container or through UPS or through FedEx, I'm not exporting. That's not necessarily true. Services are also exportable, I guess you can say that. And the United States actually leads the world in the exporting of services. So if you are a consultant or if you do some sort of work in the financial technology services, marketing, graphic design, you can export those services. In terms of eligibility, the program again is designed for women entrepreneurs. We are looking for companies that are registered and incorporated in Metro Atlanta. You must have a clear business plan. This is not for sort of this is not about market or this is not a discovery exercise. You must be an existing business. You must be selling a product or a service in the United States. You can read this. You must have a functioning website. And of course, we're looking for a commitment. As I mentioned, we'll have the workshops. We'll have the one-on-one consultations. We'll have the Meet the Exporters. And then we'll also be sharing additional resources that we want the participants to actually review. At the end of the program, really, our goal is that we will have equipped you with the necessary tools to say, okay, I'm ready to start exporting. I'm ready to start looking for clients in other countries. I'm ready to, I now have the tools. I know where to go to start doing a market research strategy. Um, or you can say, well, now I know where to go to get financing for a contract that I received. Let me call the XM Bank. Let me call the SBA. So the application deadline for this program is December 4th, so it's fast approaching. But if you get a chance, and we'll share this link with you shortly. The application is pretty straightforward. It's a one-page application where we just want to know more about your business. We want to understand kind of what your goals are and why you're interested in exporting. So as I said, I mean, it should take no more than 10 minutes to complete this application. And the application can be found on our website at atlinternationalaffairs.com/women export university. But I'll share this link with you, and I'll also share a one pager with Jill that she can then share with you at some point. So that concludes my presentation. I know it's late. I'm probably standing between, well, less than, I'm virtually standing between you and networking. But again, my name is Cesar Venza. Here's my contact information. I'll be more than happy to speak to anybody about sort of, this whole idea of international trade. If you have any questions or are interested in learning more about the program, please reach out. And also, if I may ask, please share this through your network. I know entrepreneurs support each other. You guys have very strong networks. So please do share this through your network, share this through your friends. I'm really excited about this program. I can tell you that this is the first time, Atlanta is the first city that UPS is offering this program in. The program has been run in other cities around the world, and it's been extremely successful. So I'm very happy that UPS is partnering with us to, again, elevate the work and create more opportunities for women in international trade. So I'll end there, hand it back to you, Jill. Thank you again for the invitation. Just really happy to be part of this program.
Absolutely, my pleasure. As I typed in the chat, I think that the women in Atlanta may not understand just how special Atlanta is and how much the city does for women. If you look at other cities, for example, I think I reached out to Detroit and some other, they have no programs in place at all for women, that not for women in business. So kudos to the city of Atlanta for all that you do for women. And do we have any questions? Does anybody have any questions about the export program?
I'm just wondering, Peter, I'm in the Netherlands. So I'm wondering if you have direct links already to people in the Netherlands or to groups in the Netherlands to.
So we work very closely with our local consul general. We have a great relation with him in his office. We also work very closely with the Netherlands Chambers of Commerce. And of course, through Jill, we also, rely on her for connections, but we always welcome, I think part of this process is really, how do we identify new partnerships? How do we identify, strategic partnerships that can help us advance this work? And I can tell you that we had two entrepreneurs that you probably know. They visited the Netherlands a few years ago, and they just came back. I mean, they were two different people when they came back. They had such a wonderful experience. So any opportunities that you may have for our women and for our entrepreneurs are always welcome. As part of the program, one of the things that we're looking into is to also talk about opportunities in certain markets. We know that the Netherlands is a country that is very inclusive, and you're actually way ahead of us here in terms of the support for women and how you support women in general. So definitely we'll love to partner with you, and if you have any opportunities that you'd like to share, please send them my way.
Okay, thanks.
Well, this is excellent. I guess you already brought up the point that it's not just goods that are being exported. When it comes to exporting big data, for example, if there's concerns about is it the GDPR, different privacy laws in place, is that something that UPS is going to help to support?
So I think at that point, I mean, that goes under the regulations section of our training. And the way that we are going to sort of design the training is based on the companies that end up participating. So if we have companies that, for example, need assistance in GDPR compliance, that's when the one-on-one consultations will come in. I mean, of course, that's very specific to, it's not for every company, right? But if you're dealing with any sort of data, it doesn't matter how big or small it is, you have to be in compliance, right? And the complexity of GDPR compliance is so large that we can't just address it in a very sort of general broad terms, right? Even here in the US, I mean, California has their own GDPR guidelines. So I think that gets a little messy, but certainly, and that's a great point. Some of those topics, again, I think just changing that mindset that if I'm not exporting, if I'm not shipping a good, I'm not exporting, if we can get through that hurdle, because we know there's a lot of companies that are doing business abroad. And not only that, also just to understand that if you're selling to Canada or if you're selling to Mexico, you're exporting, right? I cannot tell you how many people I've talked to when I asked, like, are you doing business abroad? And they say no. And I was like, well, where are your clients? And like, well, in Canada, Mexico. Well, that is outside of the United States. And with services, I think we have to be very careful because there's a lot of compliance and a lot of regulations. And sometimes, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. That's at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? And so we want to make sure that we get the resources in front of you. We want to make sure that we get the right people in front of you to help you be successful as a business, and to make sure that you, at some point, you don't hit a roadblock, or maybe you are non-compliant with a certain regulation, and that could really hurt your business, especially for a small business. One thing that I forgot to mention is that our sort of target here, we're really looking at micro enterprises, right? We really want to support small businesses. I can tell you that there are a lot of resources for the larger companies. And to be honest, most of the times, the largest companies, they have in-house trade compliance lawyers. They have, they can do this themselves. But for small businesses, that's not necessarily the case. And a bad international transaction can really break your business. So we want to make sure that when you do go into the space, that you do it in the right way and that you have the right partners helping you. The Georgia Department of Economic Development has representatives throughout the world that can also work on behalf of Georgia businesses. They can also help with market research. The U.S. Commercial Services also has resources to help our businesses. So there's just, again, it's an alphabet of resources out there, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. So what we like to do is to really present it to you in a way that is concise and easy to understand. So the entrepreneur doesn't kind of look at it as like, I can't do this. It's definitely doable. The first transaction may be a little challenging, it may be a little difficult, but after you do it, I mean, it's pretty smooth, right? So it's almost like riding a bike. Once you do it once, like, you'll get it. You're good to go.
Excellent. And then that brings up one other question. I know that we had planned to do a trade mission, taking a lot of our female entrepreneurs, and that was, of course, postponed because of COVID. Do you know if the Georgia Department of Economic Development do they have anything in the pipeline, any trade missions for 2021? Are they going virtual, or do you know what the plan is?
All I can say is that they've organized a few virtual trade missions. I haven't seen anything in person. as of right now. And I think we're all kind of in the same space where all of our different activities are virtual, and also just trying to figure out how do you, what is the best way to do a virtual trade mission.
Yep.
As you know that, you know, there's a lot of work that goes behind organizing the trade mission with the matchmaking, and how do you maximize that time when you're meeting someone virtually. Now, of course, you know, the things with business at the end of the day, you know, people do business with people. And it's really hard to build rapport through these little boxes. I think we've all kind of, you know, there's Zoom fatigue everywhere. People are eager to just sit down in front of someone, shake their hand, have a coffee, have a drink, because that's, I mean, that's how businesses get done, right? But at the same time, I see this as an opportunity because we are able to reach a lot more people this way. Um, you know, when Liz, you're here joining us from the Netherlands, and I'm sure that you have others that are joining from other parts of the country and the world. And we can only do that because of technology, right?
That's
So
right.
there are pros and cons to this. And I think part of this whole sort of process is just learning how to be flexible. And that's for businesses. One item that we'll be covering is e-commerce, right? How do you take your business into an e-commerce platform? How do you do business in the digital marketplace? Because that's, I mean, that's another way to export, right? You don't necessarily have to just ship something. You put something on the internet and you sell it in another country. And what we're seeing is a lot of our businesses are really interested in this topic. And they're also very interested in learning more about how do I take my business global using a digital marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Cesar, are you not doing any? No, tell me about the virtual stuff that you are doing.
So in terms of our work, what I was referring to earlier was the Georgia Department of Economic Development. They have a number of, so they have representatives around the world. So they just hosted an event with their representative in Mexico, where the Mexico team just pretty much talked about business opportunities in Mexico. And there was a few companies that joined that were talking about, well, you know, what they're looking for, what opportunities they have. I believe they did something similar with Chile and Peru. There were some conversations there. And I want to say there was something like that in Germany. So they kind of, you know, they always look at where they have representatives. What we do, we typically, in the past, what we've done is we've actually, you know, we've traveled to places and we build strategic partnerships with, for example, the American Chambers of Commerce. They're great resources. Different chambers of commerce around the world. Our trade agencies also play a big role, working very closely again with the U.S. Commercial Service to identify opportunities.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm finding with my business that this is a really good way, at least, of making the first contact, and you may have to make more contacts than if you see people face to face, but it's really working. So yeah, I would encourage you to do that, even though it's not the same, but it's, you know, it's becoming normal.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think it's a good way to kind of, you know, get your foot in the door. Yeah. Start building relationships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, then I want to thank you very much for this amazing presentation. We have recorded it and we will be sharing it. Thank you, Jill, and again, thank you everybody for the invitation, and, you know, congratulations on everything that you do. And if you have any questions, I'm allowed to share my LinkedIn page and also my email with you. So feel free to reach out, and hopefully we'll see you guys and some of you participating in the Women Expert University. Thank you. And ladies, don't drop off. We're gonna go live networking, so don't hang up.